Hi there. Welcome to your tutorial for your assignment, Understanding Good Practice in Workplace Coaching. So this assignment, the word count for this assignment is around 3,000 words, the top end being 3,500 words. So it's quite a detailed assignment, this one. It is chunkier, but you'll know from the coaching workshop that there's a reason for that, because it is so much more detailed. And it actually is a great assignment. It's a really, really useful assignment to do. Again, with most ILM assignments, there's two parts to it. The first part is understanding the context for effective workplace coaching. So it's trying to get you to understand how it fits into the organisation. And then the second part is about the process and content of actually effective workplace coaching, and what that actual process looks like in practical terms. So let's get on with it. Assessment criteria 1.1, describe and define the purpose of workplace coaching. So the good pass there that ILM are looking for is that there's a really good full definition. So you can bring in your own definition, and then you want to maybe look at Sir John Whitmore's definition of coaching around maximising potential. But something fairly precise they're looking for in there. And maybe if you could describe some of the principal features of workplace coaching. So all about moving forward, solutions, getting towards action, and a very future focused conversation with your team member. Useful for performance, etc. in the organisation. So that's about really 1.1. So the verb there is describe and define. So we'll want the description and the definition. Please don't forget that. 1.2, explain the role and responsibilities of an effective workplace coach. So you want to define, and we've done this in the workshop, so we want to define first of all the role and then the responsibilities. And also we want to look at this and be very careful with this at both an organisational level and an individual level. So what's your role, what's your agenda with the individual? It's about their development and their performance. But in tandem with that, there's also a responsibility to the organisation at a higher level and strategically in order to achieve organisational results. So as managers, we have this tricky role. There's this sometimes tension because, of course, we're there to support the individual, but also the organisation. So what ILM are looking for with this is the principal features of the role and the responsibility and the characteristics in a good bit of depth in there. So spend the time in 1.2 doing each of those. And you can use bullet points with this as well, because we're conscious of this word count. Okay, 1.3, describe the behaviours and characteristics of an effective workplace coach. So the behaviours are the things that other people see, and the characteristics are something that are innate, that are right down and below, that person has within themselves. So what ILM are looking for is a correct and comprehensive description with a big full range of behaviours. So something around the non-judgmental, supportive, great listener, etc. And then some of the characteristics around being very trustworthy, that confidentiality, being very present for that person, and giving them the space and time, and actually being absolutely there for whatever it is that they need. So a good range there is what ILM are looking for in 1.3. And again, we've done the behaviours and characteristics exercise in the workshop. 1.4, explain how coaches should contract and manage confidentiality to coach ethically. So what we need to talk about a wee bit here is about the ethical coaching. What does that actually mean? Define that in your assignment. So we have to think about conflicts of interest here. We have to think about, are we doing the best for the team member and the organisation? Or is there an issue there that we really need to address? Because we have to be ethical and conscious of that as coaches and as managers anyway, in any business. A full and clear explanation of how to contract. So we practice that a little bit, and hopefully you've done as well. And I've given you an example of like an internal contract that's in your workbook there, so you can use that and include actually a copy of that in the back of your assignment as well, maybe in an appendix. A full range of how to contract and manage the coaching, confidentiality in coaching. So just re-emphasising why it's so important in terms of the confidentiality. Okay, we're not counselling, we know that, but people may go into their personal lives. Human beings are human beings, and around what you would do with that. A good example in there would be great as well, of actually how you've managed that, and considering the individual as well as the organisation at all times, and thinking about any impact on of legislation on confidentiality. Is sort of, there's an explanation around that. So if there was something going on, it sounds a bit serious, but if there was, maybe that you were coaching somebody and that they were aware that there was something that wasn't quite right going on in the organisation, or something around a code of conduct that was being broken, then you would have to have that discussion with that team member and let them know that there's a legal aspect to what's going on within the business. And with some of the businesses that we work with in finance and insurance, everybody absolutely has to abide to those corporacy regulations, etc. So some good examples in there about basically how you should contract and why you're contracting. And ILM are just looking to see that you have an understanding of how that impacts on a business. You can even talk about the reputation of the business as well. Okay, so that's the first part of the assignment. The second part of the assignment is about the process and content of effective workplace coaching. So let's look at 2.1. Explain how to manage a coaching process, agreeing goals, and following a simple coaching model. So what I would say is start off with just a really step-by-step explanation of the coaching process, what you would do, how you would introduce a team member to it, how you would ensure that the team member understands what coaching is, to speak a little bit about what the GROW model actually entails. So and that's the model that we have used, and it's the simple basic model, and it fits quite well. So you could maybe go through each of those parts of the GROW model, or we may do OPA as well, objectives, pathways and actions. You could really talk through that as well, yes, that's what I would say. Maybe focus on GROW, I think would be really good for that one. So a good explanation, and explanation of a range of different correct and appropriate methods of managing the coaching process to agree goals. So maybe there's an element of the individual identifying their own goals in terms of their learning, or there could be opportunity for you to identify some goals for them, but coach them as to how they're going to achieve those goals. So the actual process of achieving the goals is really all up to the team member. So you could use coaching in that kind of format. Okay. AC 2.2, explain the range of tools and techniques that can be used to support effective coaching. So we have used tools and techniques from the minute you've walked into the program with me. So you could use things like the SWOT analysis, the learning styles questionnaire, emotional intelligence questionnaire. You could even look at the NLP model of communication, the Wheel of Life, which looks at the values of the individual. The motivation grid is another good one. Lots of tools and techniques to really support coaching. So when I coach people, I love to start off with that Wheel of Life, because it gives a good grounding of where that person is. So a full and correct explanation of all those different tools and techniques, why they're useful, how they contribute to the coaching relationship, and how they can be used to make your coaching more effective. Learning styles is a perfect one. If your team member is very reflective but you're a real activist, how that would help you become a more effective coach. Lots of examples in there would be fantastic, you could really get into the detail there about the learning preferences. They want to see that. So that Honey and Mumford learning styles questionnaire would be great. You could talk about yourself, and hopefully your team members completed one of those as well, and you could talk about your team members' learning preference, and how you have used that knowledge to develop your relationship further in terms of coaching. Okay, AC 2.3, explain why it's important to maintain basic records of coaching activity and what they should contain. So great to have something there around the coaching diary. Again, a great example of that in your workbook. So why is it so important to have these basic records of coaching? Good in terms of a memoir, good in terms of acknowledging the progress that the individual has made, good practice in terms of being a manager, of keeping some notes around that, and also identifying and looking at the feedback that you've received in order for yourself to develop further as a manager and coach. And if you can detail what each of the elements of that diary look like. Okay, so the learning style, what that would look like and how that would benefit, the duration, time, etc. All those things. Actually, bullet point those out and explain each of those. I know it sounds very basic, but actually this is what ILM want to see. And the final part is 2.4, recognise the potential barriers to coaching in the workplace and explain suitable strategies. So you can just do this in a table, and in your template there is actually a table where you have lots of different barriers, but also really good solutions in there. So a barrier, we'll have talked about it in the workshop, is potentially people not understanding what coaching is and thinking it's counselling or thinking it's on-job training. And a strategy for that would be to obviously provide some communications, some lunchtime workshops or half hour, come and see what coaching's all about, or maybe even a video tutorial like this would be really useful so that people understand. What ILM want to see this is a range, so 2, 3, 4, 5 different barriers and suitable strategies. Another barrier, time. I don't have time to do this. The strategy is that it's built in as part of your management style so that time isn't an issue. Okay, so that is the understanding good practice and workplace coaching assignment. Any questions? You know where I am. Thank you.